What's up, YouTube family? So check this one out. Imagine you're walking in the woods or a forest or the jungle or something like that. You're in a place where it's tall trees and tall grass and weeds. Now, usually when you go to places like this that's already been occupied by humans, the first thing you notice is that there's pathways. With all this tall grass and stuff, you got people that's been walking in one direction for so long, over so many periods of time. So much that it starts to like flatten the grass up, and it causes a pathway. You can almost see like the footsteps. You can see where the grass is not really growing much in this place. You can see it's like a trail. It's like a little foot road, and it's going through all this tall grass and weeds and stuff. Now imagine that those pathways lead to something bad. They lead to something destructive, like death, disease, just bad health and stuff like that. Now imagine this. Imagine that jungle and that forest being your mind. And every pathway in your mind, metaphorically, is leading to something. There's certain, when you go in these woods, you're usually going to go the place that you went. Whatever direction that you've been going for the longest, that's usually naturally, when you walk into the forest, you're going to naturally start walking wherever it's easy to walk to. Whatever pathway that you set, whatever pathway that you created in that jungle or in those woods, that forest, whatever. That wilderness, let's call it that. When you're walking in this wilderness, because this world is a wilderness, your mind is a wilderness. So you're going to always go to them same pathways. What are those pathways? Fucking eating McDonald's, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, jacking off, wasting time, just whatever, man. Anything that's bad for you. Staying up late watching YouTube videos and shit instead of getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Stuff like that. Your addictions is nothing but pathways that you have created because you've been going in this direction for so long that as soon as every time you enter into this wilderness, you automatically start going that direction. Why? Because it's easy. Now, how did that pathway get created in the first place? You had to walk through that tall grass. See, it's not easy at all to create a pathway. If you ever been in the woods, when you first start walking there, you got to walk through tall grass. You got to step on bugs. You got to walk through weeds. Sometimes thorn bushes cut your ankles. You know what I'm saying, man? You're getting bit by ticks and fleas. It might be a snake in the grass. You know what I'm saying? Shit. In Jamaica, they carry machetes a lot because, you know what I mean? A lot of people, they walk through certain wildernesses and, you know what I mean? Shit, when you walking through the woods, you got to chop bushes and chop branches. And sometimes you got to chop down the grass and shit like that in order to walk. But once you keep going this direction, you create a pathway. So let's say you want to stop doing all these negative things. You want to stop going down this same old, boring, old, fucking destructive ass fucking pathway. You want to create a new one. You have to create new pathways. This is how you start doing good shit. Let's say, fucking eating healthy, fucking exercising, not wasting time. You know what I'm saying? Prioritizing your time, getting enough sleep. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to speak proper without stammering and stuttering, things like that. These are pathways that are not easy to create. Why? Because there's no pathway. You know what I'm saying? You got to step over that tall grass. You got to chop down those weeds. You got, you know what I'm saying? You got to create that pathway first. But what happens when you keep doing these things? It's not easy. It's not easy to drink water every day. It's not easy to eat healthy. It's not easy to, practice on your speech and your level of communication. It's not really easy to do that. It's not easy to calm your thoughts. It's not easy to make sure that you meditate every day before you go to bed or every night before you go to bed. It's not easy to do these things. You have to create these pathways. Once you start doing it, it's going to be hard, as a metaphor, as far as, fucking chopping those weeds and walking through those thorn bushes and getting bit by snakes and ticks, whatever the fuck. But after a while, once you start doing that, guess what? You walk in those woods and you start to notice there's a pathway. Now it's easy to do these things. It's easy to go down this pathway. You get what I'm saying? Like, is any of this stuff really making sense to y'all, man? I'm speaking metaphorically. I'm using one of the greatest analogies that I came up with. I mean, like, I've heard scientists, like explain the way like your brain is like a pathway, but I've never seen nobody on YouTube or anywhere really break this down. If anybody has any sources like that, please bring them to me. Please present them to me. I'll be glad to look at them, and I'll be glad to give that person their credibility for this analogy. So what's happening is we're in these woods. We can't escape these woods. It's the thing. You can't, like, you can't just pack up and go up to the fucking suburbs. I mean, it's just, nigga, we live in this wilderness. But the pathways that you take are either going to lead to destruction or they're going to lead to something positive and something that's going to actually benefit you instead of destroy you. So, not only did you create a good pathway, this is like the beautiful part. You get that feeling once you start going down. When you walk in those woods, like you do every day, every morning, whatever, when you wake up, when you enter into these woods, you always notice these pathways. So now you can see where the bad pathways go, but now you got another pathway. So now it's much more easier to make a decision on which pathway you want to take. But this is where it gets even better now. What happens when you stop walking that pathway? When you stop walking that direction for so long, the negative ones I'm talking about. Let's say you're going down this pathway that leads to fucking destruction. You know what I'm saying? You stop walking that way. What ends up happening is those weeds and those grass start to grow back in those areas. So now you can't even see those pathways. Like, now it's even harder to do the negative things. You know what I'm saying? Things that are bad for you. Things that are fucking destroying you. You know what I'm saying? You stop going those directions because those weeds and grass and shit start growing in those pathways. So now those pathways start to disappear. And now the good pathways, the pathways that lead to something positive, those start to carve those pathways even more. So that's what you're doing. When you stop walking one direction, talking metaphorically in your mind, when you stop going one direction, things end up growing back. That pathway will disappear. And when you continue to go in another direction, those pathways will be there. So every time you walk in those woods, you don't even remember how to get back to the old pathway. You don't even remember how to drink, how to smoke, how to fucking like waste time, shit like that. You don't even know how to do these things. All you know how to do now is go the positive pathway. Now, if you ever do go back the negative pathway, it will be your fault because you actually took time. You actually made some effort to actually go back that direction again. However, when you walk a pathway for so long, sometimes it takes longer for those pathways to disappear. It takes longer for that grass to grow. And even if that grass does grow, you might still have some memories of that pathway or you know what I mean, some type of visuals of where that pathway goes. So this is something that you got to be aware of, man. The longer you do things, the more of a habit it becomes in your mind. And that's just what it is, man. I really don't have anything really extra for this video. I wanted to just get straight to the point, and I wanted to really make this metaphor make sense, make this analogy make sense to you. I hope it did. You know what I mean? Like, I hope I was clear enough on my point and how I was trying to present this information to you. It's not easy to go them pathways, y'all. I understand, but you have to stop going down the same fucking pathway. Your brain is gonna naturally want to stir you to wherever it's easy to walk to. You gotta walk through those bushes. You gotta walk through those thorns, man. You gotta chop down those weeds. Sometimes you gotta get bit by those ticks. But after a while, you're gonna be glad you did, because those ticks, those weeds and shit will disappear. And you will be able to walk into a pathway that leads to success instead of destruction. You can do this, man. I believe in you. Create your own pathway. Stop going down the same old pathways. And you can enjoy these woods, this wilderness that we live in. I'm just going to stall a few more minutes just so this video can be a solid 10 minutes. Or maybe a few minutes after. But I don't want it to be like under that. I don't want it to be under 10 minutes. We're 10 minutes in, y'all. Have a good Friday. When you walk into these woods, y'all, think about where you're walking. Be very, very aware. Go the right way. Create a new pathway if you haven't already. I will see y'all Monday. Have a blessed weekend, everybody. Peace.